All right, welcome to another episode of the Between Two Wheels podcast. This is episode 100. This is Tyler Janke, and today it's like a family reunion. I have Curt Mills and Chris Flower in here. Curt, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm like a family reunion. Somebody dressed up all the way. Good job.
It's a big show.
I'm the weird uncle at the table with the mushroom shirt or something.
Right.
Yeah, if you want to go check it out on our YouTube channel, you can see I'm fully dressed for work. So I'm like normal. Chris, welcome.
Hey.
It's typical. You've been showing up lately. I appreciate that. This is the Kurt's like the grandson or the nephew that just hates the family. Well, but they keep inviting him, so we keep bringing him back. He brought a pot roast. So we're looking forward to this. Anyway, welcome everybody to 100th episode. We're gonna, I don't know, make a big deal about this, but that's a decent little haul we've had.
Has it been 100? Doesn't feel like 100.
It feels more like 200. I'll say getting you in here, it feels like we've only done
25.
Yeah, you know, Chris was at the second episode I did when I interviewed Nate. He was in the background.
I didn't say anything. I was watching. It was exciting.
He was so excited. He begged me to come on, and then you joined in on Kurt. You joined in on episode 13 or so, and we had a good time.
Was it that far down?
It was during the Vuelta when I started, and it was just going crazy. So
okay.
Okay, so we'll get into some of that, but beyond that, the whole purpose of the show. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in and sharing the show and kind of keeping our numbers going. I really appreciate it. But the main thing we talk about is cycling. So. Chris, how's your bike riding been going, and any new developments for you since the last time we talked?
I haven't ridden my bike since the last time we talked, so I've got that going for me.
Is that right?
Well,
I think I could check that on Strava. You broke your. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Last time we talked was Friday night.
Right. So it's only been a few days.
All right.
I did spend the day yesterday building up a bike, so I should be able to ride when it's not raining. So maybe on Friday I'll ride again. We'll see.
Normal road bike.
Road bike. Yeah. So
unicycle. Okay.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
It's a bike. Yeah. And when I pedal, it goes. It's not very exciting.
Okay. What about you, Curt?
I did a big ride with you yesterday,
yeah.
so that was good. But otherwise, I don't have a new bike. I did purchase some new wheels today, which I'm excited about. I was able to get those out from underneath Chris. So.
Yeah, a bidding war, you guys, between the two.
There was
right?
a little bidding war, yes.
I'm looking forward to the product review show that we'll have on that one.
Chris has already read some reviews that said they aren't the best wheels.
They're terrible.
He wrote them, I'm sure.
Terrible.
He's rationalized his defeat.
I'm trying to have you dump it. Well, did you want to make any comments about the 100? You said you had these 100 landmarks you wanted to talk about.
Well, I had just noted that there's 100. It's a big deal. Getting to 100 is a big deal, and there's other.
Right.
There's other less notable events that are also celebrating big 100s in 2019, like the NFL. The NFL will be on its 100th season this year, which is huge. The Grand Canyon, it celebrates its 100th year as a national park.
Not as a canyon.
Not as a canyon.
Okay.
Well, you'd be the person to ask. Is it its 100th year as a canyon?
At least.
Or as a Grand Canyon?
I would say it's at least 100 years old.
And this would be Jackie Robinson's 100th birthday.
Oh, really? Today?
No, in 2019.
Oh.
We're just doing big 100s in the year.
Right.
And then obviously the Between Two Wheels 100th episode, which it feels like there might be some more in there. I don't know if we counted every little upload, but it's pretty good.
Did you mention the Treaty of Versailles?
I didn't. Is that in there?
That's in there. You want to talk about that, the woes and how that kind of led to World War II? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I said not overly successful in brackets there. So,
right. Well,
you guys almost rode 100 miles yesterday, so that's getting up there.
Well, 77 or
almost
4 or something like that. That's not.
We were done.
Yeah,
we were done.
I felt like I sent you guys a text this morning. I mean, I just felt like an old, which I am, like old man. I mean, it's tired.
So riding or training once a week is not a great plan?
No, you have these, when you're kind of on edge, how I train and race, and then you miss a few days, your fitness goes, and then suddenly you put in a 4.5 hour. We weren't going super hard. We were just continually going. 4.5 hours, it just kind of wears on you. So
I would agree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about today?
I think we're going to talk about sort of the last 2 weeks in the NCNCA, right?
Yeah.
You were going to fill us in on some World Tour stuff.
I'm almost wondering. Well, let's talk about the what's happening. There's so much going on right now. It's almost daunting. Like the world tour.
There's so many races. It's
right.
really hard to follow.
And a lot of them started with an A, so I was like having trouble even following along. Like, wait, is this Andalusia? Is this Algarve?
And they're all Volta de something.
Right. So Het Volk, Ruta del Sol.
Right.
Not Het Volk. Hart Var or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll do much of that. So let's at least do the NCNCA stuff. Kind of get what people really want. We'll start out there it's President's Day out in Cherry Pie. Who's your favorite president, Curt?
I thought we're not doing that.
Oh, okay. Little known fact. Hamilton, 5'4", 100 pounds. He would have been an excellent climber.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
John Adams, not so much. Might have been 5'4", 200, 300 pounds. So just throwing that out there. Okay. Yeah. We go out to Cherry Pie. I carpooled with Curt. We had a plan. You want to talk about our race to begin with, or do you want to talk about some of the other races?
You start off with you didn't carpool with me.
Curt, I started. Can you guys change your name? There's a Curt and a Chris, and I'm constantly, and I'm over 45. It's really tough to keep track.
You're tired. You had a big ride yesterday. I don't really know if we had a plan, and it was a new course for you, so you hadn't seen it yet.
Right.
What did you think of the course? Why don't we touch on that briefly? Great.
So I didn't even take a warm-up lap because by the time we got going, I got to the start line, they said, oh, you can have 4 minutes. And I'm like, I'm not going to miss the start. So I'm not going to even do a warm-up lap. So I just stayed there. And then first lap comes, they hit the gun, no real warm-up. And there's all these corners through this parking lot. And my first thought is, what kind of hubris do you have that you made a how to corner video the week before? And I don't know what it was like the wind was blowing. The first time we went through the roundabout, I'm getting blown around. I'm off wheels. And I really like the course, though, because like I have said, I do like those punchy, out of corners, tight things that it single files everything. So once you do get a position, it's easier to hold it. And I did like it. I was really worried the first few laps about getting spit out because you get to the front and the wind was so strong that, if you're doing any work, this is my problem. But I hung in there, and about 20 minutes in, I started to feel better. So as far as the course goes, it looks hokey, and you race it and you realize it's difficult. It makes it difficult. And you saw True Hard Man, I guess, 2 of them off the front winning it, so almost lopping us in the 35s.
Right.
Anybody reaction before we actually talk about the race, about the course itself, or how you feel about that?
I thought it was definitely windy, and that played a pretty big factor in most of the course. I had a lot of trouble just getting blown around with deep wheels on my bike in some of the corners through the back end of the parking lot, where it just it hit you and kind of pushed you, but it was gusty, so then you'd be leaning into it, and then the wind would stop, and you'd kind of drift off your line. It was a challenge for me, and I'm not. I won't be coming out with cornering video anytime in the near future, unless it's a how not to. So it definitely wasn't a course that suited my current abilities.
I felt later on in the day that I at least started to adapt better to it, and I felt really good about it. And matter of fact, one thing I was thinking of is it was so windy, and the way that those corners were, there was no one, like if you were going to make a video about that race, I wouldn't be calling anybody out for their sketchy cornering, because everyone had some little issues. And for the most part, it was pretty clean for what we had. Curt, your impressions of it?
Yeah, I'm not going to call anybody out for their
sketchy. I wasn't meaning that. But.
Okay. I didn't have a very good race, so my perspective was different. It was just, it's a tough course, like what you guys are saying. A lot of cornering.
Okay, so we get what? In the 35s, there's how many? 30 people in the race, maybe? 20 people? 10? 3? How many more is in there?
I think there were 20-something, maybe 21, 22.
21.
Yeah.
All right, but when you're telling people, you got to bump it up by a factor to make it feel better about yourself.
Chris said 22, or I said 22.
So. There was 210.
Right. It was hard to move up. So those corners. So let's talk about teams. So we had, 6 of us in there in data-driven?
5, I think.
5? Okay, 5 of us. Touchstone Die had 3. They had Jeremy Cattell, Casey Fallon, Jonathan Baker, who was immediately, is a danger guy, especially he looked really fit, and he just won a gravel race or some sort.
Pete's had 2 with their new addition.
Right. Yeah. You want to talk about their new addition?
David Grumman.
David Grumman,
racing for him.
Dave Grunman, who narrowly beat you at Folsom.
He did.
He and Aaron Patterson. Were there any other teams, so to speak? The Vi guy, Josh Wood and Cameron Walker.
Right.
Two of those two, which did well. Anyway, so about 7-8 minutes in, we had mentioned, hey, we've got to watch Chris Coble, who was solo out there, and Jonathan Baker, and they take off right before the start-finish line, and we don't see him again, except for we chase them down. I mean, I don't know if we want to kind of break into, we missed the move, basically, and our guy Ryan is on the front trying to pull it back, and we just never connected. It was just like, you think, oh, what's going to happen? These brakes aren't going to go.
Right.
And they just had a little gap, about a lap to go, and then they just punched it. And the wind was effective, and that last straight, which is really a tailwind, I don't know, they just ramped it, and we never got close.
Yeah, those two guys are pretty good at bike racing.
Right, yeah.
No, I think we knew not to let them go, and we're just so bad that we still let them go. Right. like there's no excuse. They were just really good.
No, I'm looking.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I agree. They knew what they were doing. And was that Jonathan Baker's second race of the day, or was that his first? Because I know he did 3 races that day. I don't know where the 45s came in.
45s was later because
this is his first race.
Well, you don't want to spoil alert that one, but he
rode well.
Yeah, he tries the same thing.
But you're gonna spoil.
I didn't.
I'm not gonna spoil it, but he won.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say that. But yeah, he did go off the front and then dumped his partner out there.
So he was fresh for our race. We can kind of give ourselves that.
Right. When it happened, I was not, like I said, I didn't feel good till like 20 minutes in, and it went up the road, and I'm thinking, oh, that's where our guy John needs to go, because I'm like, I'm not going to be able. If I would have, let's say I jump up there to him, I could pop up there. Then what happens about 2 laps to go? You guys are going to see me coming back, so it's just not. What's the point? I'm not on their level right now, or ever.
I would have been proud if you had made it to 2 laps to go. I would have been very proud.
Yeah, well,
I would have been proud if you just jumped up there. That would have been
right.
Certainly wasn't my thought at the.
So then the rest of the race, where Curt does make an amazing effort to try to bring everyone in that race was, I felt like the tactics teams were chasing, were working, but on that roundabout when we come back before the 180, where you see them, they just keep getting further and further, and then Curt goes up there and just hammers it for like a lap. And I take over, and then Aaron Patterson and some other guys, and they're just gaining time on us as we come through. So I'm like, no more chasing. So we just waited for the finish.
Yeah, I think Chris probably looked at Coble's. Did you look at Coble's power for that race?
I did. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it was a lot.
I want to say you said it was like 340.
Probably.
So yeah, I mean he is up there hammering.
What would Reichert say about it?
I don't know.
All the watts.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Something like that.
Yeah. No, he that would probably be average and not normalized too. So that's working
right.
hard.
So the result is, I guess they did look attacking each other, and Chris Coble took him on in like the last lap and stayed away. So Chris Coble ended up winning. Jonathan Baker second.
How'd third place shake out?
Well, I'll just say, so we're like, okay, we got to get John in position to sprint. And so 2 laps to go, I'm kind of on the front, and then other teams start taking over at the last lap. And we're just working our way through there. We come around the roundabout like 5 or 6 back.
Okay, we should probably go to the 45s.
Let's go to the 45.
So yeah, we've covered this race.
Go ahead.
And then it's all tailwind, and it's super fast, and you start to go up the hill, and I start hitting it because there's a little gap between Josh Wood and Aaron Patterson, and I put a video out on this last corner there, and I just start hitting it, and I looking at my power, I did a breakdown of that, and not for a video, but I hit like 900, and then I went to 850, and I just stayed at 850 to the line. And I went on the wind-aided side, and I just kept flying past all these guys, and really battled Jeremy Cattell at the finish, who did a bike throw, and I got him. It felt like really close because I didn't even know at the time. But it was interesting is I did like 850 for 45 seconds, which is not. I mean, I've never hit 1,000 watts the whole sprint, and didn't go over 900, so it's not like it was a big one. But you're just going so fast, and starting to spin out your 11 with the tailwind. And you beat for the end of the day. So it's not a great number for sprinting power.
Gets results though, right?
But it got results, and it was kind of weird because jump past the sprinter guys and whatever. So it was a fun day.
Yeah, it's actually a good video to watch. Just how it's a really long sprint, and like you said, you kind of got up to speed, and by the time you got up to Jerome, you're almost right at the line.
Yeah,
and luckily you had a little bit of momentum. It looked like.
Yeah,
a good bike throw against Jeremy. That was good.
Yeah, or Jerome.
What's his name?
Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
It was also good to see in your video Ryan come through the roundabout, and he did most of his sprint looking backward. It looked like trying to like.
I also didn't, as I'm starting to head up the hill and I'm starting to kick it, and then I get up there and he's pulled off on the right side and he's sitting on like side saddle looking over, and he still gets like top 10, but he starts yelling my name, and that's when I realized John wasn't on my wheel, so I just keep kicking. And now Ryan did a good job of making people chase him, so it was a good day all around. I mean, then I just barely ate the pie. I know,
it's disgusting.
It was pretty
week old.
I tried it Saturday.
Disgusting because you waited so long.
Yeah, exactly.
I hadn't been feeling well. I didn't want to gain weight. So we got a pie. That's great. 45s go, and we get to watch that one as well.
We ran off and got some food and came back when it was probably 15 minutes into the race.
Yeah.
And it looked like at that point the winning break had already been established.
Right. So it was, do you want to tell about that?
It looked like it was Jonathan Baker from Touchstone, Jason Cruiser from R4R. And when we initially started watching, there was a Thirsty Bear rider in there. Not sure who that was. They were only in there when we watched for 2 or 3 laps, and then they had fallen off. And it was basically Jonathan Baker and Jason Cruiser just hammering for a majority of the race. And then ultimately Baker dropped Cruiser. Whether it was just an attack or Baker setting too much pace, I don't know. We didn't really see. But Baker held off for a solo win, Cruiser second, and then field pack, it looked like Jerome Nadal took third.
Yeah, and I would say Cruiser, for getting dumped by Baker, he still hung pretty decent next, within 20 seconds or so. I mean, seems a bit, but compared to where the field was and how Baker was flying. Yeah, no, he
did really well to hold on, and in that win solo, it's pretty easy to just kind of throw in the towel. So
right,
it's good. Good result.
Yeah. And then we stayed and watched the P1-2 race, which actually had a pretty good group of guys. You want to kind of go over who some of those teams were in there and who they had?
Yes, the Spirulina, or is it SP2? I'm not sure.
I think SP2 Elite Racing.
Yeah, they maybe had 5 or 6 guys out there.
At least, yeah, maybe 7.
Tarun had their 3 or 4, it looked like. Mike's maybe had a couple.
There was Tyler Williams just going solo, former guy with Israel Cycling Academy.
Yeah, Amain had a few in there as well.
Amain had Ferretti, Lander, and
Joe Holt.
Yeah, Joe Holt.
So a lot of teams with 3 to 5 people. So it was a good turnout overall. It looks like 35 people lined up, so not bad. Yeah,
could you imagine if, that seems fine on that course, actually, like a decent amount.
Yeah.
You start getting over 50, could you imagine what that would be like there?
It'd be tough.
You might just start on that round 180, you just go straight or go right, catch the group going by.
Right.
Yeah.
I had that idea.
So that one had real interesting dynamics, and there's some good videos out there of that. Actually, Tyler Pierce, the vegan cyclist, had a pretty good one. And, what he broke down was pretty much what we saw. His team trying to get Josh in the move. Josh does get up in a move, and then they're waiting for the sprint on him. And but before that, it was really interesting to see the video where Bobby Terra gets up there, and who else was up there with it? Was it his teammate? And they just couldn't. It was similar to ours where they just couldn't quite close it down. And then I think maybe there was 2 other guys, and then Bobby went up to it. Skinner was up there, I think, as well.
Yeah, are you talking about like the race, the move in the middle of the race?
No, the one near the end, like where they were trying to shut it down, and then Robert Terra actually went up to it, the final winning move.
Okay, that was with Moxley. That was the
Moxley, yeah.
And it's just the 2 of them.
Right, and then Williams.
But it was really close. Looking at Tyler, like you can't tell that when we were stationary how close that move really was, but they were really close to bringing that back for quite some time.
And in the middle of the race, Tyler Williams went off solo for what felt like quite a while. So he's definitely got some leg strength.
Yeah,
and he did really well.
Yeah, and then so at the end of the race, you've got Moxley from Mike's, Bobby Terra who went with it. They're off the the front of the group, and then Tyler Williams gets a small gap, never quite connects to those two. And I think that's what his video, Vegan Cyclist video, does a really good job of, is kind of like showing that whole thing. And I don't think Tyler Pierce ends up finishing the race, because we saw him, he pulled off.
No,
but he does a hell of an effort to try and close it down there at the end. But ultimately, yeah, the Sam and Robert stick it, which was exciting to watch coming into that final stretch, because they only get the Chase and Tyler by a few seconds, maybe 2 or 3.
Right.
But yeah, it's a hell of a race.
Right. And it was good weather, but cold. But any big revelations you saw from that race? I mean, for me, it was pretty cool to see Robert Terra get up in that move with those guys, and
he was in moves all day.
He
too.
was.
That was. I mean, it's typical. Bobby Reed's races really, really well, and he went to Tarun in part because he wanted a chance to go ride brakes, and it's maybe the second or third race of the season. We already see him riding that way, so it's just cool. It's I think a sign of things to come, I would imagine, for Bobby.
Yeah, it was impressive to see Baker race 3 races and do really well in all of them. I mean, that's a big day.
Did he do the P12s then?
He did, yeah.
He didn't go off the front on that one though.
He was in a couple moves. But,
well, I mean, to finish. I mean, if he doesn't finish off the front, isn't it a loss at that point for him?
Sure.
I mean, he's only 21st on the day.
Well, he's also, we don't typically do grasshopper coverage, but he did grasshopper that Saturday.
Yeah.
And I think he got 4th in a stacked field with like Astana getting 1st. And I don't know who got 2nd and 3rd, but I imagine they were pretty good if Baker got 4th.
Right. And I forgot, Luke Lamperti was out there as well from the Lux team. He had just come up from Valley of the Sun. So there's some decent riders. So SP2 gets their top guy, Timmy Bauer, in 8th, and Isaiah Oliver in 9th. But Tarun, doing a great job. 2 guys in the top 6, Gottsman and Robert Terra, with Moxley in 1st and Skinner in 5th. So Mike Spikes looking good there as well.
Yeah, Tarun's had a good start to the season. Some good additions on their part this year.
Now, some races we didn't see, and we'll call this guy out here. The Masters 55, Andre Tentore. Granite Bay, local guy. We see him on the rides. Everyone knows him as a rider around here. He ends up winning. I think he won the field sprint, right?
That's what
I did see that, and I was wondering if it was for because it was a mixed group, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was with Jonathan Baker, that group that was mixed. So he won the field sprint and wins his division as well. So good for him. We did not see the Cat 3s. They had 22 in the race. Holger Steinmeitzger wins the TMB development team. Eric Fisher 2nd, and Alexander Winter for 3rd. And did you guys see any of Kurt, you got there a little before us. Did you see any of the women's or juniors racing?
I didn't, no. But the women's P1, 2, 3 race, it looked like there was actually a Cat 3. I'm not looking at the Cat, but Chris told us it was a Category 3 rider, Michelle Howe, who took 1st, and looks like she was down from Washington. I don't know if she just recently moved. 2nd place was a Danielle Morsehead with LA Sweat, which is that a Pro Continental team?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so a bigger team. And then Samantha, and I can't pronounce his last name.
Keanu? Okay. That's my guess. I don't know.
Cool. With Squadra SF, presented by Tarun. And I think she raced last year with Jacru, I believe.
Yeah.
Was a real strong racer.
So you said Michelle Howe was a Cat 3, but it now says Cat 2. So does that mean she's maybe upgraded since we saw the results?
Possible, because I swear Chris had done a little research on this, and she was a 3 at the time.
Right. I think so. Either way, it was a good race for her.
Yeah.
12 women there. I'm going to keep saying I'd like more to come out, but I'd like more of everybody. Speaking of the ones, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the fields in general are small. It's a Monday race. Not everybody has President's Day off.
Right.
So I think it's a little bit difficult for everyone to show up.
It is. But we've been seeing a kind of a trend here with the Cat 5s getting, and once again, they were one of the bigger fields, 35, 6, 7, well, those are DNS. So, but 35 racers that started the day, and that's a big field for that course. Maybe it might have been a little tough for the Cat 5s on there. No?
Well, I always think that stuff plays out. Like, you have a big field on a course. Like, it's easy to get kind of scared of how that would work, but it always seems like it works out.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it was a carnage fest. I'm just saying that's a tough race as your first. Look, you're going to go out there. There's always a Cat 5 that's like way too strong, right? And then there's some that are just starting out. They're going to check this out, and that's a tough course to just go and maybe do one of your first races on, not understanding that you need all this, jumping out of corners and stuff. Sure. So, but I don't see any DNFs, so maybe they stay together.
They also don't generally pull riders in those fields.
Gotcha.
But.
Right.
So top 3 there: Damian Hayes, no team; Mel Victor Tiongson, no team; and Garrett Smith, no team. 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Couple from Roseville, California, too.
Yeah. Are they? Do you know them at all?
I don't know who they are, but there's at least 2 of them there. Hopefully they carpooled.
Yeah. Do you have any traffic issues going home that day?
No.
Really?
No, I didn't have any traffic issues.
Wow.
You guys?
Which way did you?
Took Highway 80.
Oh, not leaving Napa. Highway 12 was just a nightmare for us. There was a merging issue where it seemed to take an extra 15 minutes to get over to Highway 80.
Right.
Okay.
Hope you guys all didn't have that problem.
Yeah.
That's tragic. One race we'll just mention on here real quick. We haven't really too much information on. Was the Cantua Creek road race the day before. Just pop out some results. I know Brian Zimney won his race, and the Masters 35.
How many guys were in it?
We're not necessarily going to say, but I think there was a break there, and they had a mixed field. Those are always tough. You get a mix, and you're trying to figure out who's in your field. But he wins. Carl Parker second, Jimmy Miller third. Jimmy Miller was in our race on the next day. Did pretty well. The 45s: John Hawkins, Trevor Bartlett, and Ming Nguyen. 1, 2, and 3. Pro 1-2 men: Colin Patterson, Tyler Pierce, and Jason Peterson. So we saw Tyler Pierce get second place, and then we also saw that he got a result out there in Merced. So that team, this would be interesting to see their whole deal. I'm sure most people know in Northern California, vegan cyclists, the SP2.
He's got a good video of that race too.
Which one?
Of the Cantua Creek.
Yes.
Yeah.
He kind of breaks down sort of what happened, and looks like a break got up the road, and he was in it.
Right.
So
not a big field, but still, you're getting those results and doing what you need to. So, congrats to them. Snelling, who we did a live preview show. You guys, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and then you'll get notified when we actually go live. We had a raucous time. Some people joined in, did some chats.
We did do some chats, yes.
Yeah.
We did a terrible job predicting how those races would play out, though. At least I feel like I did.
So we could go through some of our predictions for what happened there. Now, no results are out, so pending. We don't know who did what.
That's true. We're just trying to make guesses off Strava titles here.
Right. So, the only one that I was close on was I said Chris Baker for the 45s.
Oh, okay.
And he was second. So,
well done.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like I raced myself.
Almost.
But I didn't. Do you guys have any interesting takes from those? Any results? You were able to deduce anything from since the results I've posted? Deduce
little bits and pieces, or kind of create our own little narrative about how the races shook out.
Yeah.
From what I gather, it was clear skies, a little bit of wind, and just incredibly cold at the start for the 35-plus race. I think teammate John said it was like low 30s. So frigid racing conditions, but not windy, so it kind of promoted a stay-together type of race. But looking at power files in the 35-plus race, it looked like Claudio from Thirsty Bear and Eric Nelson from Sierra Nevada basically took off at the start of the race and got a good break of just the two of them. They were joined up later on, it looked like, by Jeremy Cottle, a guy from Dolce Vita.
What?
It's just Chris with his, he sees the Matrix, the lady in the red dress through power files. Just
right.
It's creepy.
And ultimately, from what I understand, they got a pretty good gap, and Pete's took it upon themselves to put Kevin Metcalf and Dan Bryant on the front and pull it back. Talking to Brian.
Dan Martin or Dan Bryant?
Dan Bryant.
Yeah.
Talking to Brian Zimney, they pulled it back about 4K to go. And then that set up a field sprint where I think John kind of tells it interestingly, where the group came around the corner and there wasn't like an immediate effort. Just it was kind of 6 wide going into the sprint, and it took a little bit of time for somebody to take the initiative to start a sprint.
Yeah, he said like 75 meters from the line. And
Right.
the pictures even make it look that way. I've never seen that. Usually I've been like, oh, this could be a good sprint for me. It's kind of this little uphill.
Yeah.
And then you come around the corner and you're sprinting from the corner full gun, and it's full on. It seems so weird.
Yeah. That seems like it would have been good for you after your cherry pie sprint.
Yeah.
But there was a guy that was literally in the sprint that didn't know it was the last lap. Again, we're deducing from Strava titles, I believe.
Well, I think,
and the pictures.
Yeah, he thought the brake was still away. He didn't realize the brake had been caught.
So he just wasn't sprinting?
He thought, well, why am I going to sprint for like 10th or something? I'm just going to cruise in with the group. So you've got 5 guys lined out across the road in full sprint, and he's kind of like on his hood smiling like,
that's what's
2 more
crazy.
laps.
Like, what would happen if he unleashed a sprint?
Right.
Because he's right there.
Yeah.
Smiling.
Right.
Okay.
Drinking. I think he was doing one-leg drills. It looked pretty mellow.
Yeah.
But who won? I did see there was a Strava. You know, by the way, if you don't want Chris to know what you're doing, don't post your things on Strava.
Well, just do power data.
He's 4chan of the cycling world. Anyway, who did win?
Justin Morgan. I don't know too much about him other than I know he's on Scott Hooper's cyclocross team.
Okay.
Can we call it Scott Hooper's cyclocross
I think
team?
he's the owner.
I don't even know if that's true, but
Okay. Well, they used to be on the same team.
Right.
Okay.
And then do you know the rest of the group? We know our teammate John got 6th, so he just missed the podium, but he got a shirt.
we're just going top 3.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. But you got it.
It was a bike throw. Obviously, 6 guys come to the line. It looked like Justin Morgan, then Randy Bramblett from Cortec.
That's right.
And who came in 3rd?
Zach Morvant.
Yes. Thirsty
With
Bear.
Thirsty
He's a new
Bear
addition
this
to
year.
Thirsty Bear this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's with them. Okay.
Yep. So, good finish.
Yeah.
John pulled off 6th place.
Yeah, that's all. You know, Randy back. We mentioned him in the previous show, but go ahead.
We're just doing top 3.
Okay. Top 3 and notables.
Oh, okay.
Any other categories notable that day? The 45s. We said Chris Baker got 2nd. Did you see who won?
Sean Smith from R4R.
Okay, that's
Is
right.
that Race for Research?
Sure.
I
Just
feel
make.
like I should know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. We should ask. It's probably on it's probably right in front of you somewhere.
An empty phone in front of me here.
Gotcha. Do you know who got 3rd in that?
It was Aaron Long.
Aaron Long,
with
Thirsty
from
Bear.
Thirsty Bear. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a race on the day before or last week at
Cherry Pie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did well. Okay, so the afternoon, the big event is now. Look, we can't just go and read some results here because we don't have any. So we're just deducing what we have. Was there any other categories in the morning flight that you know of?
I don't know if the 55 was in the morning flight, but we'll assume it was.
I think it was.
Okay. Larry Nolan won that race.
Yeah.
I've confirmed that. I do not know who the other 2 folks were on the podium, but everybody knows
the Cal
Larry.
Nats team or something like that.
I think we had predicted him to do well, so
Right.
we can pat ourselves on the back for that.
Right. And now your predictions for the P12 race.
They were terrible.
Well, who'd you pick? You picked. I picked Andrew. I didn't really expect Andrew, but you never know.
I think I picked Matt Chat.
I expected you, Andrew, and I did pick you.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Andrew, I expected you too.
He would have won if
but I
it
didn't buy
weren't for
wheels
his
for him.
flat tire.
There's a lot of flats out there. I know Zimney got a flat like 2 miles, 4 miles in, 4.55. That's what it was on his Strava. And then he got a flat in the P12 race as well.
I think he got a few more miles in that race, though.
Yeah, like 60 some. But then someone like Graffath doubles up and gets almost 140 miles. So
Right. So did Zimney's flat in the 35s race include the rollout? Did he get 1 mile of actual race in?
that's a good question.
That'd
I
be
don't
pretty
know.
unfortunate.
Well, he did warn us on the chat on that rollout, and then look what happened.
Right.
Got to be careful.
Right.
So P12, do we have any details on that?
We have Stefan's story. Did you not
Yeah,
read
that's right.
his breakdown? Teammate Stefan was
I
in the
didn't
race.
actually read the whole breakdown. Do you want to
Okay.
give it to us?
I can read it verbatim, or I can kind of paraphrase.
No,
Yeah,
paraphrase
what
it.
happened in the race?
Break got away. It looks like it was a couple Tarun guys, a couple Mike's guys, Stefan, and then some other guys I'm not sure who. Stefan didn't know their names, but it looked like it was Skinner was up there with Justin Thompson and Bobby at some point. Stefan lost his bottles of fluid, so he did most of the race without water and kind of bonked with half a lap to go, so he had faded out of the break.
Yeah.
It sounds like, again, interpreting from Strava titles and whatnot, that the break got down to like 3 or 4 guys. Justin Thompson from Tarun attacked them and went off to win solo. And then that left the rest of the pack to kind of sprint for second place.
It looks like Matt Michael got 3rd, I want to say.
I think he got 4th, and he's got an old-timey video.
I just saw his video. It's pretty funny.
So he had, I guess, goofed up and did a time-lapse
setting. Oh, that's why he did it.
On his GoPro instead of video. So he had to create what he could create with what he had. So.
Yeah, it is old-timey. It's pretty cool.
So Dolce Vita, who was that rider? Do you remember?
Virgilio Piglucci, I think. I'm not sure if that's
okay.
his
We'll
name.
go with that. So he got 2nd.
Yeah,
and then 3rd place was Brian Larson
with Team California. Is he with them this year?
I don't know if that's who it is that he's with anymore.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's who the jersey and
okay.
They were posting on their website.
Okay,
cool.
Yeah, so I mean, it's really hard to tell how the sprint shook out from Matt's video because it is time lapse, but it looks like
black and white.
Yeah, it looks like there's a big.
I think
jump
Charlie
at
Chaplin
second
won.
place. Did he win?
It was a silent movie.
Yeah. So tough race. Them's the breaks.
Yeah. And, so, hey, that's Snelling. Do you know what the field size was? We talked about that, the reg for the P12s.
I do not know. Pictures made it look like there was a good turnout.
Okay.
70 people, probably.
Okay, that's pretty good. I mean, did you guys do it a few years ago when Horner registered and was out there for that?
Yeah, I was out there that day.
year.
I did the 35s in the morning, but I watched a little bit of the P1 too.
And, yeah, anyway, good fields that we've typically had and hope to have keep those coming.
I think Raleigh was out there that year, too.
Raleigh, yeah. Is that when Guyman showed up, too?
I was not there for that day.
Okay. I don't know. They should know more about these things. So I saw a lot of like flat tires.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about any crashes. But people there's probably some out there. It usually happens.
I heard there was a crash going into the sprint of the P12. And it kind of shuffled the deck a little bit, but I don't really have many details on that.
Yeah, it's a crap hole on your tires and your wheels. And anyway,
yeah.
Madeira, was it Modestos yesterday? Merced.
Yeah.
There's a Mirko.
Right.
And that's coming up, I think, this weekend. So I didn't.
Madeira.
Yeah. Damn it.
It's one of those M cities.
I'm new to California.
Right. It's tough.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Marin.
I mean, if Merkel came back, that would be really great.
Right.
But yeah.
So I didn't see anything other than the P12. It looked like Jonathan Baker takes the win there. He needs to pick a division.
Well, he did 3 races at Merced as well.
Oh, geez, did he?
Yeah, I think he did the 45s, 35s, and the P12, and did well.
Did he win any of those others?
What were his results?
I think he won the 45s, got 3rd place in the 35s, and won the P12.
Wow, he's on fire this year.
Yeah, he's riding well, and I think he lapped the field solo in the P12.
He's like Samson though. His hair and mustache keeps getting longer.
It's true.
So the P12, there was like the break went with him and Tyler Pierce.
Right.
It sounds like it was with Isaiah in there too.
He was in the field, but he wasn't in the break.
Yeah,
I was reading Tyler's Strava title, the info, and it made it sound like he just sat on. I don't know.
Okay.
Sat on what?
I'll have to go
the
look
field
at
or
it
the break?
Maybe I'll get to it and we can talk about it here. But anyway, go to what you do know.
So we know that
we don't know a lot.
The vegan cyclist ended up getting 2nd, and it sounded like he was solo or in a solo chase trying to catch Baker.
So the way I actually got some good info from Jason Smith. He spent some time kind of watching Strava flybys today and fed me a bunch of information.
Okay.
I guess he said it looks like Baker and Tyler got in a 2-man move together, and ultimately Baker attacked, leaving Tyler to chase, and Baker went to lap the rest of the group. They got about halfway across together. Baker attacked him, closed the gap to the field himself, and then Tyler kind of hung out in no man's land to hold off 2nd place.
Gotcha.
Did Baker proceed to go to the front to try and pull back Tyler?
He may have. He's just doing intervals.
that's just he's
big time jerk move.
Yeah, I wonder what he's planning on this year because obviously he's it seems to be ramping it back up.
I think he just plans to win everything he enters. I mean,
okay.
There's one race that would be really good to see him win.
What's that?
Would it be his hometown race?
Yeah, if he won the Nevada City Classic, he would be the first hometown winner of the P12 event in history. So I don't know if maybe that's what he's got in his mind. Like, years are ticking away here. Like, if I'm going to make this happen, I better go to Spain this off season and really get in shape and make it happen. So maybe this is the year. It would be great to see.
As a fellow Nevada Cityan, did you go spend your winter in Spain training to ramp up for it?
I didn't. I feel like I missed the boat. Like, clearly we didn't talk about this.
There's still time. Just do a late surge of fitness. You'll be there.
Right. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe he's hitting his peak a little too early. We'll see.
Could be.
My thing would be like, well, okay, got to go to Spain and train. Okay, I'll go to Spain. Did half of it, and just not train.
Forgot the bike. Rats.
Right. Coming up, Madera stage race. Is that this weekend?
It is. Yeah. It sounds like it's confirmed to be on at this point, regardless of weather or registration.
That seems like one that looks like a lot of fun for the P12s or the 45s because they do the hill climb. They'll extend the racing out a little bit more than the others.
Right.
Then we have Land Park coming up. Bariani, that's usually at Omnium for the 35s.
Yes.
Winchester and Auburn. Just my fitness is not working out for those two, but I do love them.
There's time.
Nah, really.
Okay.
Tempest, Fugit time trial, and same day Santa Cruz Classic. I am planning on that one. And then Chico stage race. Curt told me yesterday he's not interested in that one at all.
That's true. I'm not that big into that race.
I had a lot of fun.
The gravel?
It's the gravel, the criterium, and the time trial.
But that circuit race, that's your jam.
Oh, and the circuit race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun there last year just doing our podcast stuff. So I want to go just for that. Just, talk to some more people, get some interviews.
Okay.
Get some higher energy people.
I'm down for just doing the...
Maybe you and I go up for a day or two?
Yeah, maybe
I have to move a trial and work. I'll move a trial just so I go up there and do a bike race. That seems legit, right?
That's the way to do it.
All right. You guys have any winners and losers for NorCal?
Winner, I had Bob Terra, multiple time former teammate, all around great guy. He sticking that move at Cherry Pie was pretty awesome to watch. I think he's gonna have a great year. So that was my winner.
I agree. I agree that he's going to have a great year.
I'll go with, he seemed to have a decent last few races, some good results. I'll go with Jonathan Baker. As Curt said, he's gearing up to win Nevada City, so let's cheer him on for that.
Well, I have
no
confirmed.
inside info on that, but your pick, you had named Jonathan Baker before this weekend.
Did I?
It only looks better after this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that was who I had picked for my winner. So
did you? I haven't looked at the notes.
But luckily I'm prepared in my mind here this week. So I'm going to actually pick John Novikov because he is still holding strong at the top step, I believe. I think he even will at the you say no?
I'm not saying no.
I think he's doing the calculations himself, but I think he'll still hold the bar or the bat.
He'd probably be. He's not a team of one, so he'd be a bar.
He'll be a bar. Top of the standings for him individually on the 35s, and I think our team is probably still close to the top. So
we can say that now because they haven't tallied results for Snelling yet,
right?
Or Merced. So yeah, as of now, he's still leading,
right? And he went out there with just he and Ryan, and I was disappointed I didn't get to be able to go help and support him, but those two did their job, and he got his top 6, so it's good for him. How about a loser, Curt? John Novikov?
A loser, I had all of us. NorCal Cycling for Cherry Pie used to be just an amazing race that we all used to get to enjoy. And it was on a Sunday, and everybody kind of showed up from Sacramento and the Bay, and it was kind of like the first chance of the year to kind of get together and see each other. And now I'm not blaming anyone. It's just on a Monday, and it's not in a venue that sort of lends itself to spectators. So
I feel like it could, though.
Maybe it could, but it just doesn't have that feel right now, right? So, again, there's no one to blame here. It's just small fields, no crowds. Just it's not quite what it used to be.
Wow, it's a downer.
Well, it's our loser of the week.
All right, how about you, Chris?
I'm going to pick myself because I just pulled up the show notes here and see that you clearly have pre-picked Jonathan Baker as a winner.
I gave you credit for it too. Sorry.
Oops.
I don't care.
Let me guess what your loser is.
I just named one myself.
Small pies.
Small pies, yeah. I'm not going to do that because I got a gift certificate too, so I'm pretty proud of that.
For what?
Some pizzeria in a place I'll never visit. So it'll collect with all the other ones.
How was the pie?
Well, I had it on Saturday.
And you raced on Monday.
Raced on Monday. It had been hanging out in the refrigerator at least.
That's good.
It was a little dry.
Okay.
I did my best to try to warm it up. I took a few bites. I said to my son, "Hey, you want some of this?" He's like, "Yeah, later," and I just threw it away.
And for the record, those pies used to be like a full boxed pie,
right?
And now they're.
I remember the one Andrew won in like 2013 or something.
Right, we all got to like split. Well, we probably didn't, but we could have all split that pie.
He never shared that pie.
I know. But there was enough pie for it to have been split.
Yes, if he was a nice kid.
Right.
He was a little young at the time. I think that was like, he needed money and food, so he might have sold the pie or eaten it on the way home.
Sold it by the slice.
Right.
Good profit.
Right. I don't know. There's so many losers out there, but watching the video of our race, the 35s, I have to say me, because we let those two guys would have still won the race, Coble and Jonathan Baker at some point, but they didn't have to do it right in front of me. And when it was right there and I'm watching and you're like, "Hey, you go." No, that's pathetic.
Also, they did it at like 9 minutes in.
Right. It's too early, guys. That's not fair.
Like, give us, I don't know. Yeah.
It was 9 minutes in, but I started my clock like a few minutes early on the start line. It was really close to like 6 or 7. It was really early.
Okay. It was bad.
Yeah.
I'll add another loser to myself. I put a camera on my bike and forgot to start it. So you don't get to see any footage from a dropped rider.
All right.
$4 more.
Right.
The auto schedule.
We'll just knock this out here for some things to make you go, Do you have anything for that? I don't think Kurt's is relevant anymore. I'll start one. The Columbia race, the Tour of Columbia, the fans and the racing was crazy. It was pretty amazing to see the hype that the country had for bike racing in general, and then the way that they like knock riders off their own guys on the road on the way up. If you ever watch the Tour of California and are embarrassed about the way our fans like kind of encroach on the riders, don't worry about it. They got Columbia out there that can outdo us anytime. They literally took down Egan Bernal and I think his teammate, isn't that like up the climb, like on the pivotal part of the race. It was pretty outstanding, and I enjoyed it.
To be fair, I think they were just they weren't trying to take them out. They just got in the way.
They never are trying to. Even in the barricades, it's like 2K to go. They're barricaded off. There's Kermit, or no, there's some Sesame Street character. Yeah, Cookie. I didn't want to say Cookie Monster because it's not that one.
Right.
But it was a Cookie Monster and maybe Grover or one of these others out there.
I got to say, the last like kilometer, maybe 2 kilometers, the fans on both sides of the road were like 10 deep.
No, both sides of the fence. They were inside the barriers. They were just as deep as they were
crazy.
Outside.
Like to see that kind of turnout in a race that's insane.
And I don't mean this as like disparaging like these crowds were having fun, and I'm sure it's tough for these riders to get knocked off your bike and try to win. But
it adds another level.
But it was maybe one of the good things was it was all like literally the top 12 that day were all Colombians. So maybe it's good that they were just all. I mean, you can't. It's your own country, right? So it's not like you get Tim Wellens or some guy out there and he's like upset at the Colombians for knocking him off and he almost won the race. Nah, it's your own country, man.
Right. Chris Froome wasn't there getting knocked over.
Right. Now, what would happen with that? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Chris Froome, he did a good pull though, leading into that, right?
Yeah, I never saw it. I didn't see it. I only saw the climb. So did he?
Yeah, he was on the leading into the base of the climb and into the opening section of the climb. He was on the front, putting in a big amount of work, and the crowds down there were still nuts.
Yeah,
that was Columbia. Good pick for.
So I'm interested to see what's going to come out of this. When I was younger, they had a big bunch of riders, the Cafe de Colombia, Pablo Wilches and Fabio Parra, and these guys that were amazing climbers, and then they kind of faded away. I don't know if it's the prevalence of the drugs in cycling that maybe they weren't involved in. I don't know, but they're coming back. The big resurgence, and I know there's the Sky has kind of looked into some sponsorship, but it'll be interesting to see how this excitement in their country brings about more riders, if it does at all.
Yeah,
or money.
It's like Brailsford has said any talk of sponsorship with I think it was Petro Colombia is off the table. So it sounds like that's a no-go at this point.
Gotcha.
Bummer.
So, okay. Thanks for updating us on that one. Do you have any hums?
I think a contrast would be, I don't know if you saw any of the UAE tour today or Oman. If you contrast the fan turnout, it's a stark difference. There's
I've seen the photos before.
Yeah,
that is completely different.
Right.
You would think this might get controversial. You'd think in a country like that, they'd at least force some people to watch the race.
Yeah.
At least make it look good from the perspective. No?
Maybe they could. No, you might be right.
I don't know. Those races are not, it seems like to me, they are not, and what I've read too, they're not about anything other than they pay the riders and the UCI or whatever, the teams to come over there and do races. And I mean, I think the UAE one right now, it's got a little more climbing than some of the other ones that they've had, like Dubai before, but Oman has a little bit of climbing.
Is it just a tourism board that's putting those on?
I assume so. Yeah, I mean, it's not for the fans.
They do have that big climb in a couple of days. Was it Green Mountain?
Or was that the one that they just did in Tour of Oman?
Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. Yeah, they have a little more climbing for this. And okay, so we'll talk about. Do you have a thing to make you go?
You did one.
You did. What was yours?
I didn't have one.
Oh, okay. Well, you had one listed here.
I had one for last week, but this last week is past, and now it's no longer.
And news has changed
topical
in the world of politics in Chicago world. Anything on the world tour that's got you? I've seen that two teams that are kind of coming. Well, three actually. Well, actually several, but the Jumbo team and Astana seem to be just kind of breaking through quite well. Anybody following? You follow bike racing outside of NorCal? Either of you?
Well, the Jumbo team, just because Nielsen Paulus, he had a good week last week, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think he finished 7th in the GC. I forget what race he was in though. There's, like I said, there's so many.
Algarve. He was he did pretty good in there. The guy that won though, he had won I think the Young Riders Tour de France. What's that?
Esprit Day something.
It's the one that Bernal had won a few years ago. And anyway, this guy is a 20-year-old Slovenian. He ends up hanging on and winning that whole thing. Then you have Andalusia. Tim Wellens was winning that. I don't believe he held on. I think it was anybody.
I'm not sure. I just know he lost it. And I think it was one of the Astana guys.
Oh, Fugelsang.
Yeah, because Yates won a stage in there.
Right. And then Oman, it was Alexei Lutsenko. He won like 3 of the 6 stages.
Also from Astana?
Also from Astana. Angel Lopez, also from Astana. So Fugelsang's with Astana as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're coming up rosy.
Where are you guys finding these stages right now?
Steep Hill.
Steep Hill right now?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm getting a lot of bad links.
From Steep Hill?
Yeah.
Like for video or?
Yes.
I haven't really been able to find much video from there, so I just catch kind of last kilometer clips or something.
Okay, yeah, I've been trying to catch it while it's going. Like I'll see it on Twitter, like, oh, we're in the last 5K.
There's another one.
Cycling fans.
No, it's
guess not.
Sorry, Chris.
Is it the World Tour one that we've they post the videos and then every once in a while he gets a new Russian bot farm or some server farm that he sends
I
you
forget
to?
what that's called. I'll remember in a few seconds, but
Tiz.
Yeah, Tiz Cycling.
Yeah,
that's usually okay. You'll probably get completely infested with viruses, but but you get to see bike racing.
That's when you use the kid's computer,
the old work computer,
right?
So I don't know what else is really coming up. I think the Ruta del Sol was happening. I know Yates won a stage there. Groenewegans won a stage. Not of that race, but the different one. The Jumbo team also won the team time trial out there in UAE.
Yeah.
So a lot of good stuff happening.
I think they're trying to set up Primo for that, Roglic.
Yeah.
He's their guy.
Yeah. And then we've got Het Nieuwsblad, I think, starting up. So you're going to start the cobbles coming up here this next week. Should be a lot of fun.
There's some controversy about the, what is it, Omloop something or other? Their banner is apparently offensive again. I haven't looked at it.
Is it like the St. Pauli girl or something?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look, but it's. I'll have that for the next show.
Okay.
I'd like to know what we need to be offended about.
That's true.
Okay.
Just wait, and it'll happen. Any other news roundup of the world of cycling for you guys?
Pine Flat was canceled.
Pine Flat?
Mention that.
That's right.
So, no. Otherwise, in the world of cycling, I don't have any.
Okay. Well, my news is I'm building up a bike.
Ooh,
and it's almost done. So, but I'm not going to debut it out there at Chico. So,
you gonna wait after that? Jeez,
seriously?
No, I'm just saying. There's no way I'm going to ride it at Chico. I'm going to ding that up. But I may have it if you let me finish my sentence. I may have it before that for Winchester. So,
all right.
That'd make it really difficult to debut at Chico as well.
Yeah.
Right. That's
okay.
That was my point.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Don't debut it at San Rafael. That'd just be terrible.
San Rafael? That's like late in the year.
Oh, okay. Well, you've ridden it before then?
You know what I'm going to do, Chris? I'm going to have 2 bikes. I'm going to have one for crits and then one just to sit on my car and not ever ride. And this is going to be
a rain bike, too.
Still a rain bike. And this is going to be a placeholder. I'm just going to drive around. It's going to sit on the top of my car, even though I don't have a roof rack. And it's bungeed over there. Yeah, with a rickshaw next to it. And I think that's going to be perfect.
He's just finishing getting that ETAP cabling routed. He's just figuring out where to plug it in.
The ETAP cabling was a lot of work. What's weird is your bike, there's so many parts that you don't need, and it's a little disturbing now. You get the ETAP, which I've got, and then you got all these parts that came with your frame, and you're like, you don't need them.
Yeah.
But they're left over. It's like, you build something, and you're like, shit.
Just put them in the saddlebag. Ride around with them.
Yeah, right. All right, well, everybody, thank you for joining us today. Check out our website. I don't know about our website. We need to do some work on the website. Facebook.
There's a website?
There's a website.
The YouTube channel is good.
Oh, okay.
But
let's just go there.
Yeah, YouTube channel. And the more followers we get, at some point we'll be able to actually make a name. Can't do it right now. We don't have enough followers. Can't name your own channel. We're a little pathetic. But
it's a long way off.
It's a long way off. But we do have the Between Two Wheels Facebook. Check out our podcast and share it. Like it. It helps us out. We're going to be doing some fascinating things. Just a little word of note. Dr. Jason Braley has agreed to come on the show. If anybody in the cycling world knows, he's done some concussion protocol stuff for USA Cycling, some heart issues. He's written for Peloton magazine. He was a doctor for Kenda. I think he's the doctor now for the Sac King. So we'll be having some fun info on that one. All right. Thanks, Curt, for coming in.
Hey, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah. Chris, thank you for coming in.
Sure.
All right. 100.